Okay, how are you, Nick?
I'm doing well. It's been too long since we've gotten to nerd out about some horror stuff, so I'm glad to be here.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's this. I guess last time we were talking more generally, and this time we're going to be talking about lots of different stuff, but it's going to be focusing around your books, which is going to be fun because I love all of these books. But still, you've said you know you're happy to be here, but that's surprising given that you've just woken up in a windowless basement after suffering a pretty nasty knock to the head. Just in case you're still feeling the concussion's effects, I'm going to remind you who you are and most importantly, where you are. Your name is Nick Roberts, international best-selling author of the Exorcist House series, Mean Spirited, Anathema, and many more. I'm hoping this sounds familiar. Otherwise, I'm worried I might have hit you over the head a little bit too hard. You are the Nick Roberts who won the Battle of, the BOH Indie Author Brawl a few years back. I'm sure you're dying to know what you're doing down here in this basement. So let me welcome you, Nick, to my escape room. I've trapped you in a labyrinth run by the villains from your stories. To escape, you must face the creations that have made you the writer you are today. Because what is it to be a horror writer if not to face your fears? Are you ready?
It appears that I have no other choice.
You have to be ready. Absolutely. Okay, so we'll begin. So you find yourself at the end of this dingy corridor, strip lights flickering overhead. Single door lies ahead, framed by a glowing red light. As you shuffle towards it, the sound of scuttling echoes off the concrete walls. You're scared, but you realize this door is the only way out back to get back home. So you push it open and you find yourself peering into a dark room. You're in the basement of the Hill family's farmhouse from the Exorcist house. Tell me, when you're walking into this basement, kind of what are your first impressions of it?
Okay, as I'm walking into the basement, the first thing that just kind of caught me off guard was the smell. It's like this lingering rotten egg smell, almost sulfuric. And it's weird. It's very damp. The air is thick, like humid, but it's like a cold damp. It's very surreal and uncanny. So it's hard to kind of describe other than with sensory details. Yeah, the glowing red door is a bit off-putting. There are some random scurrying that I'm hearing, but I need to get out of here.
Fair enough. So, unfortunately, though, I don't think you've looked hard enough because that scuffling noise, it's not rats in the wall. It's Spider,
No.
the demonic entity that lives beneath the Hill family's farmhouse. How would you describe Spider?
Old Spider first reared his lovely head back in 1967 at the Trans Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, as it is called now, which was used to be the Weston State Hospital in West Virginia. And when you have that many people in an institution being treated horribly and inhumanely, and that much human suffering condensed in one location, it's bound to create sort of a thin spot if you want to go the Stephen King Dark Tower route between worlds, maybe where so much condensed suffering opens up a portal for a being to just kind of come through.
Mm.
And that's the genesis of Spider. That's how he emerged into this world, looking out through the eyes of a young possessed inmate of the asylum in the Exorcist house Genesis in the prologue. So Spider is this entity who, much like Pennywise, experiences time differently.
Mm.
So he's staring at me now, so I better wrap this up. He looks kind of hungry, but he has this. He creates chaos, organized chaos through these, for lack of a better metaphor, this spider web that he spins, all
Mm.
these different threads these games that he starts to just unleash chaos, and he is just not a nice fella. So,
Mm.
yeah.
Okay, a good summation, but I'm afraid Spider doesn't like that description. In fact, it thinks you've got it all wrong. It's lonely down here. and they would like nothing more than to hang out with you. And you know, a man cave sounds about right. You're in a basement. Help Spider transform the Hill family's basement into a man cave that celebrates a hobby of your choosing to entertain it, and then maybe it will let you go free. What would you turn your basement into? It can't be writing. You can't do writing.
So this is I wrote Anathema before I wrote The Exorcist House.
Yeah.
And in Anathema, it is based off of a townhouse that I used to rent. And in this townhouse was a basement.
Yeah.
So I had that basement as my own personal man cave. So I called it the Batman cave because I am obsessed with the Dark Knight. And I had nothing but horror movie posters.
Oh
I
wow.
had horror movie memorabilia. I had movies. I had it was a home theater. It also, yes, it was a great place to go hang out and just chill, watch movies and write. But what I mostly used it for, and what I'm going to trick Spider, I mean, what I'm going to try to get Spider to do is to exercise because I had my home gym set up in that basement as well. So I had my dumbbells, I had my treadmill, I had quite the little setup. So I would invite Spider to exercise with me, and then maybe that exercise spelled with an E turns into exorcise with an O, and we can get rid of Spider once and for all.
Like it, he can Spider can sweat it out.
Yes,
Sweat out the evil.
proper exorcism.
I absolutely love that, and it's a great answer. Okay, so Spider actually likes the sound of this, and it asks you to wait a moment while it fetches some supplies. Got some dumbbells somewhere, going to drag those through. No sooner has it vanishes, the Merle Blatty, legendary amateur exorcist, appears. He's shaking, utterly petrified. He yells at you,
Oh,
"Time is running out." There is only one way to cast out this demon. You must contribute the creepiest item you own or have owned as part of Blatty's exorcism ritual. And what creepy item that you own are you going to be offering?
I'm glad you asked. I would like to say that this item that I picked up at an antique shopping mall in Nitro, West Virginia. I would like to say that I control it,
Yeah.
but the more I keep it around, the less I feel in control, and the more of a dummy I feel.
Mate.
Because this creepy little fella also inspired a short story in Nocturnal by Nature called "You Girls and Your Gore," where he has a
Yeah.
broken little skull. But yeah,
Oh,
this is my
wait.
dummy. I've had him. He actually sat in that basement that I used to own as part of my horror memorabilia stuff, and he likes to scare all the neighborhood kids and all of my children's friends. So I will gladly give up the dummy. I don't. I never came up with a name for him.
Oh, yeah, that's probably a
Um,
good thing, to be honest. I think
yeah,
as
just
soon
let
as
him.
you start giving them names, they start doing things. But for people who are listening, you should definitely watch this. But if you're listening, it's basically like a dummy with a big kind of crack slash kind of whole chunk out of its head. It's got big wide eyes, big red mouth, kind of teeth that are just it's incredibly uncanny. And its jaw unhinges. That's epic. Like, did you buy it with the crater in its skull?
It it did not have such a massive crater. It did have a crack going down the middle.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, young kids, especially my 3-year-old, will just grab him and throw him around.
That is
So
massive. That's massively creepy. I mean, I was picturing that maybe someone out of fear had smashed it, taken an axe to it, maybe before you bought him. I wouldn't name him. I think that would
gives
be
him too much agency, and then he
yeah.
starts to think that he can run the show a little bit. Yeah.
I can picture you now talking, doing ventriloquism for it. He looks like a maybe is he a ventriloquist dummy? Does his if can
Yes.
you? Oh wow.
He's not a working one,
But
but
you
that's
could put your arm up inside him and work his mouth.
yeah, it's modeled. You can tell that either R.L. Stein used this sort of as like a model for Slappy the dummy, or
Yeah,
this was made after, but it's kind of got that dummy look to it. The
yeah,
comb over brown hair with the
yeah. It's like,
yeah.
what is it, like 50s ish? Or it looks like what as well, like it's got the nuclear bomb testing vibe about it as well.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, it's fantastic. This is a fantastic creepy item.
I'll
Um,
gladly give it to Merle.
yeah, well, sorry, mate. Yeah, off you go. Um, so so the basement starts to shake, raining
Yep.
down plaster and loose crucifixes. A crack appears in the wall wide enough to squeeze through. Blatty implores you to hurry as Spider's squeals echo around the Hills farmhouse. You leap forward, make it through, just as the ceiling comes tumbling down. Congratulations, you've entered room two. You're
Yes.
in a dining room now. So we've got Matt, we've got Lucy and Mikey
Um,
from Mean Spirited. They're sitting around a table, not saying a word, while Conehead, their dog, growls in the corner of the room. What's Conehead's vibe?
what's Conehead's vibe?
Yeah, what's his vibe?
Um, well, he's I get this like overwhelming sense of dread without even having to look at him. And as a matter of fact, I don't want to look in the corner right now because his eye line was at about waist level, like he was on all fours, but I can like out of my periphery, I can like see that his eye line is like twice as high now.
Yeah.
His shadow has grown quite a bit, and the hairs on the back of my neck are standing on end. So I would say his vibe is creepy as shit right now.
Yeah, that's an accurate assessment. I'm getting that as well. So what
Yeah,
about
he's definitely standing and staring.
yeah, it's freaky. And what do you make of Matt, Lucy and Mikey? Like, what's their vibes?
They look like they don't know what has hit them and look like they're scrambling for an answer.
Yeah, they're scrambling. Okay. I'm also like feeling that Matt seems particularly frazzled. He's got a lot going on in his life as it is. In fact, he is, and take it to a kind of a slightly more serious place. He is struggling with substance abuse. And given
Yeah.
your many years of sobriety, what advice would you give him? If you help him out, maybe he'll help you sneak past Conehead. I'd love to know.
So it's going to be tough for Matt to hear.
Yep.
I mean, talking about him in front of him, sitting right in front of me. He's got the pale, clammy skin. He's sweating.
Yep.
It looks like he's in like the beginning, still in the physical withdrawal
Mm,
stages of alcoholism.
mm,
So that's the tough part. A lot and it's a misconception that people think that the physical withdrawals are the worst part.
mm,
I'm gonna tell Matt that he's gonna be okay. Alcohol withdrawals it can be fatal. I mean,
mm.
no joke about that. I think it's alcohol and benzodiazepines that can actually kill you from sudden withdrawal
Wow.
in extreme cases. Stuff like heroin and opiates, you feel like you're dying, but you're not literally going to die. So
Mm.
Matt is in
Yeah.
seriously bad shape. One, I will say this. Once he starts to physically feel better and the physical craving for the substance, alcohol in this situation goes away, he'll feel better, but it's going to be tough to hear, Matt. You're going to have to deal with this thing called the mental obsession. And
Uh-huh.
that's going to last. The mental obsession will last and linger unless you do something to change it. If you just white knuckle it and try not to drink for the rest of your life, there's going to come a point in time where, left untreated, you will get irritable, restless, and discontent. And suddenly, that bottle that you swore off so long ago sounds really good right about now, and a relapse will occur. So I would tell Matt in this rock bottom moment right now that I'm seeing is to hang on. And as soon as you're clear headed enough to, after you've made it through the physical withdrawals, I would, with his condition, I would check in somewhere in a
Mm.
controlled environment to go through the detoxes and then surround yourself with a positive support system. I don't know how many friends Matt knows that are in recovery, but that's one cool thing about going to like 12-step fellowships is you surround yourself with people who have been where you are at and can show you where to go. So that would be my suggestion. Maybe look into rehab and then follow it up with surrounding yourself with
Mm.
positivity and a support group.
That was, yeah, fantastically articulated. I just wanted to ask about when you were talking about the is it the obsession? Is that obsession about drinking? Is that the repeated? And I just want to say personally, because I used to take quite a lot of cocaine, and I remember that thing. And it's not like an obsession. I'm an obsessive person, but it's not
Yeah.
like an obsession that you feel like you can control. Is that the kind of what you're talking about? As in just that fixation on I want it, the feeling, I need it, I can't deal without it.
Yes. So the big difference between a craving and a mental obsession, a physical craving versus a mental
Mm,
obsession, I will say the best comparison I've heard is you a mental obsession is when you're locked in one track mind, you're thinking about something, you're replaying it over
yeah.
and over and over in your head. You can't differentiate the truth from the false. You're only seeing the good thing or the heroin, for example. You're only reliving that rush. You're not
Mm,
thinking about the bad things.
yeah.
But the best explanation I've heard is that you wake up in the middle of the night and you think about a piece of cake that you have in the refrigerator. You go downstairs and you're thinking about how great that cake's going to taste. You've made up your mind. You've gotten out of bed at 3 in the
Mm,
morning and made it halfway down the steps. You're going to eat that cake. Okay? You're in the grips of a mental obsession. Once you bite that first bite and you taste it, and this feeling just bursts in your mouth, and
mm,
everything is you're eating the cake. It's lovely. Now your body is physically craving that next bite. So that second bite is going to be a lot easier to take than
mm,
that first bite was because you had to tell yourself, you had to obsess about it before you finally said, okay, I'm going to do it.
mm.
And then once you put it in your body, then you're out of control until, um, if you're a person with addictive tendencies, if you take that first one, it's in my experience, I was not able to say, "Hey, I'm starting to feel a little out of control
Yeah.
after having that first beer. I think I better not have a
Mm,
second." No, my mind told me the opposite. So,
yeah.
yeah,
No, that's right. I mean, I actually for the first time, I mean, I haven't taken drugs like habitually in any way for quite a long time now, but this year was the first year on New Year's where people were taking cocaine and I just watched them do it and just sat there, and just and was like you said, the focusing on the bad stuff that would happen. I was able to so clearly just go, I'm gonna feel like shit tomorrow. I'm gonna feel like shit for a week if I do it.
yeah,
And it's also, when people get fucked on New Year's Eve, it's like, why are you trying to start off a year with a terrible hangover and like self-loathing? You know what I mean? And I was just sat
yeah,
there and just thinking all these things. And I remember in the past, I wouldn't even get anywhere near to those thoughts. Like, in fact, I would get aggressive, I think, if anyone was to suggest that. I'd be like,
yeah.
I don't give a fuck. I'm going to do it. And
Right.
it just stopped became well that by that point it just wasn't even fun. It was just the first
Yeah.
taste of the cake and then non-stop. So I feel that's such a good thing. I know you've experienced, I'm sure you can be around people who drink and
Yeah.
stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing is getting to a spot where you can be around it and not even be phased by it, not be judgmental of it.
No,
Not like
no,
I
yeah.
can look at somebody who's wasted, like at a family
Yeah.
gathering, and
Yeah.
not be like, "Oh my gosh," or
Yeah.
have any type of
No.
way. I look at it as I have just lost my privilege of doing that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah, I hung up my guns. I'm no longer part of that.
Yeah.
So once that's removed, then it's kind of like,
Yeah.
no, I don't need to go like hang out in a heroin den with a bunch of people nodding out or anything.
Yeah.
I've I've gained friends with similar interests that don't
Yeah.
revolve around getting high,
Mm.
so that helps.
Yeah,
Uh,
totally. No, it's a wonderful thing, and I would hope if any, I know that so many people struggle, have to deal with it. So I think it's really good to talk about, and a lot of people do talk about it. But I think it's also for readers, and especially readers of horror, where horror is sometimes used as a way to deal or kind of confront or work through kind of difficult feelings, not necessarily in the most active way, but it's definitely exploring this kind of stuff. Like this book, there are themes about addiction in it. So it's great to hear, I think, an author talk about it from their own experience. However, Conehead does not give a fuck and is
uh,
making some strange chuckling noises. And I don't think you want to wait around to find out what he thinks is funny. Lucy turns to you and says, they're really struggling, if you couldn't already tell, to cope with the dog's bad behavior. Do you have any good dog training tips to help them out?
wow. So, dog training tips. I, I will say this. I own two dogs. It's a one's a Chiweenie and one is a French Bulldog.
Oh yeah.
I hesitate to call them dogs.
Yeah,
They're
they're not
little
real
tiny.
dogs. I've got a dog with that's about the size where it's like 3 kilos. That's not a dog.
It's a deformed cat. But anyway, I can't get these dogs to properly use the restroom or you go outside
Yeah.
half the time. So they have no respect for me whatsoever. So Conehead literally is a whole different type of beast. So I would recommend a professional, perhaps even someone like Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer,
Yeah.
if he is still around. Maybe if Matt and Lucy are up for this. I don't know how uh, good-natured or mean-spirited this would be, but call Caesar Milan. Maybe tell him about your predicament and the unusual things Conehead is doing that you need help with. Pitch it to him as like a dog whisperer Halloween special episode and push that problem onto him. So that's what I would do. Second piece of advice, if that doesn't work, if Caesar doesn't get back, I would say you guys should adopt a friend for Conehead, another pet. And then maybe I could write a sequel to Mean Spirited, and everyone would live happily ever after.
Very good. I think very wise as well. I mean, Conehead definitely likes the sound of a new friend and wanders over to you, sniffs your hand, licks it, seems to like you. You pick up some chicken from the table and toss it into the corner room, which Conehead greedily follows. But while Conehead's distracted, Mikey points you towards a door leading out of the dining room, and you gladly escape. Congratulations, you've entered the final room. Okay, so you emerge and you find yourself standing in Marin's front garden. That's right.
Oh,
Marin from Anathema, amongst other stories, wink, wink. She's not best pleased about how you treated Spider, but you wouldn't know it by the way that she's smiling at you. She descends her
oh.
front steps, clutching a nightgown around her waist. You're about to turn and run when you hear the familiar voice of Ellie Stockton, Marin's neighbor, calling out to you. Don't be alarmed, she said. Marin has Huntington's disease. It's a degenerative brain condition. But something tells you there's more to Marin's smile than Huntington's. Marin stops one step short of the front lawn and beckons you inside. Your gut is telling you to run, but there's something about this woman, something that compels you to follow her. Inside, you find a dark suburban house. You hear the crackle of a record player and see Marin disappearing into the shadows of the room's corner. Her eyes glint back at you. It's unnerving. Then a wizened hand reaches out from the shadows. She points to the record player. So music is a great way to ease the anxiety of people suffering with degenerative brain conditions. I'd like you to choose 3 albums to gift to her. And if she likes them, maybe she'll set you free.
Okay, well, I'm going to say this, knowing that she's probably listening. I mean, or that she can hear me.
Yeah, she's in the
But
shadows. Yeah.
okay. So spoiler alert. I think there's a little more than Huntington's disease going on. with this one. I'm just going to say I don't think the neighbor Ellie, I don't think she was properly informed. I'm not sure, but there's I've heard of people with Huntington's disease, and I don't think this is the typical outcome.
No.
However, I'm all about some music, and I, I know Marin well, and I will say that I will grab the album Agents of Fortune first by Blue Oyster Cult,
Yep.
and I will make sure and play Don't Fear the Reaper because I think that track alone, I think
Mm,
means something to her. Maybe that would ease her enough
mm.
to recommend a couple more albums.
Yeah, I mean, if you give her a cowbell that she can bang, then I'm sure that she'll.
That's very true. I should have had a cursed cowbell to give to Merle Blatty, and we could have like ended this a while ago. He could have.
Uh,
Okay.
the cursed
But
cowbell. Yeah. Okay. So is your second album? I love that album. It's a great album. Second album.
I think Marin's tortured
Yep.
inside. I think with most big bads, there's something else going on underneath. Everyone's the hero of their own story. So I'm going to go with Folklore by Taylor Swift as my second album for Marin because I think she's got this reputation, but she's also got some dark things to say, and this kind of marks the transition into a new era of Marin. And then my last one, if we can get on Marin's soft side, maybe understand her a little bit through the first two albums and she lets her guard down, then we can break out The Death of Slim Shady by Eminem, his latest album, because Marin likes to pretend like there are other
Yeah.
facades to her nature. And if we can just kill that bad one, the Slim Shady that's in Marin, then maybe, just maybe, we have a chance of turning her back if there ever was a place to go back to with Marin.
I
That's my best guess.
no, I think those are great. Those are great. So Blue Oyster Cult, Taylor Swift, and Eminem. I think
That's
that's a
that's the Avengers.
that is the Avengers. That's an absolute power trio. I think Marin's. Well, let's see what Marin says. She's just whispering something to me. Oh, okay, okay. So unfortunately for you, Marin absolutely hates your choices. Um, and she emerges from the shadows, clenching a syringe in her fist. She's not smiling anymore, and part of you thinks that if you get her smiling again, maybe she won't straddle you and drag you around. Tell her a joke, and maybe she'll be distracted long enough to let you escape. So this one, I'm going to admit it's tough telling a joke, but man, this is your last gasp attempt to get her on
She
side.
is she is like slowly taking steps down closer to me, and she's like got this look in her eye, and I see like the little drop on the tip of the needle as she's getting closer. But you did say that she was going to drug me and ride me around. So this sounds not all that bad. It sounds like a win-win. So I'm going to go with the worst joke I know, but it's my favorite joke of all time.
Go on.
And I torture people with this. And my wife, anytime anyone asks me about a joke, my wife automatically goes like this because she knows what I'm going to say. So fortunately for me, I have a joke on deck. I always do. I make no apologies for it because it's brilliant. So, Marin, you walk into. I'm sorry, I just butchered the joke. She just took like
Two
three
words.
steps closer. She's got like the needle like right up to my eyeball. Okay, all right, okay. Marin, a horse walks into a bar, and the bartender says, "Why the long face?"
It's a classic. I think that Marin's definitely going to be riding you around with that syringe.
Yes. Okay.
That was quality. No, it's a classic joke. I mean, and what I love, simple jokes for me, they're the best ones. No matter how fucking kind of whatever they are, it's an art. I don't think I could write a joke. I think it would be hard.
Yeah,
I mean, your writing's.
I love stand-up comedy, and I would love to try it.
Oh, you
Uh,
should. You should because you are, and also like there is like funny stuff in your books. Like you can tell you're funny, but like you're also. I think you've got the vibe. You got the banter in England. We would say you got the banter. So I think you should go for it.
oh, that see that it's funny because it's more scary for me to sit down with like a stranger one on one
Yeah.
and have a conversation, like meeting somebody for the first time, sitting down and like just chit chatting or having small talk. That terrifies me. But being in a situation like I just did a speaking engagement where there were hundreds of people in the room and I knew what the parameters of the situation were. I
Yeah.
knew what my role was. So I felt completely comfortable.
Amazing.
So I think like being in front of people doesn't scare me if I know my role. Like, and if my role is to make these people laugh or to make them feel at ease or to
Mm,
whatever, I feel like I could slip into something and get out of ego.
mm.
Um,
Yeah.
I think,
No, no,
or
that's
I
amazing.
just walk up and shit my pants. I don't know.
Well, I think it's probably the most confronting thing really you can do, apart from maybe get naked on stage in front of loads of people. I feel like if like you tell a joke and if people don't laugh, it's immediate. Like it's not like, oh, they'll get it eventually. It's like
Right.
the mood you I feel like that's what I mean. I do enjoy stand-up comedy, and I think you can tell when it's just there's an energy in the room, and sometimes stuff isn't funny, but if someone has confident enough and has got the audience, then they'll just laugh and they're just in a good mood. I think that if you stood up and you didn't get that mood or something close to it, it would be tough. I think there's no doubt about it. I mean, come on, you wouldn't want to stand on the stage and tell unfunny jokes when no one laughed.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's the masochist in me, I guess,
Yeah.
is that is that I relate when I listen to podcasts on comedy. Like I've heard like Conan O'Brien on his
Yeah.
show. He talks a lot about how when he was doing late night, he didn't love to bomb, but he
Mm.
learned what to do when a joke bombed, and to him that was even funnier. And so I don't know, like
That's so good.
I I don't take myself too seriously. I try not to take life
Yeah.
seriously, and I firmly believe that you can kind of take anything and like through the correct lens, find humor in it. Um, so
I don't know.
yeah,
That sounds healthy. I mean, you've got the balance of yeah, you if it didn't work for whatever reason, it would be a thing to learn from, and actually you
yeah,
would kind of just be like, well, I'm just doing it, so that's
it'd
good
be a
enough.
funny story to tell.
You
You
have
know,
to do it.
you'd always have that story of, hey, I tried stand up one
I
time.
know. Well, no,
And
because
even
it's like for me, it's like if someone says they've done stand up, for me, that's like someone said they've run a marathon. Because I think for me, I probably do take myself a bit too seriously. I haven't reached a point yet where I'm like, I can take seeing people's faces just resting and just disappointment whilst I try and entertain them. I don't think I used to do a lot of when I was younger, I was in a band and we did a lot of touring and playing live. And I was the lead singer. And I pretty much am sure that 99% of the time I have my eyes closed, which is such a terrible metaphor, but it actually kind of works for exactly how I was feeling. It's like I was doing it, I loved it, but I just couldn't quite bring myself to open my eyes and see that people were enjoying it. And I think we got by on our talent, but I know that if I just opened my eyes and locked with people, it would have been 100 times better. And I think it's not that I'm like scared off from it. I do want to return to it, but I'm trying to, yeah, like be in that space and not think too much about it. So you haven't got that issue. So I guess I'm slightly jealous of you.
well, 7 years of walking into middle and high school classrooms,
Yep.
that'll just prepare you for any foul ball or
Yeah.
anything that doesn't go as planned. So
No, I mean that makes total sense. Okay. Well, Marin did actually. I mean, she did enjoy your joke, but she hated. I mean, I think she was basically going to straddle you and drug you no matter what.
Okay.
So she lets out a cackle though, just before she's about to mount you, and you take that opportunity and you dash towards the back of the house. There's a back door. Fly through it shoulder first, splintering wood, tumbling, and Marin's howls of laughter fill the air. You look up and see me waiting for you outside with a can of Coke on the rocks in my hand, and I hand it to you. Congratulations, you made it out of my escape room. What was it like coming to face with your creations?
Well, first of all, I will throw this Coke straight in your face for forcing me to look at my monsters and analyze them and fight them. I am their creator. They're not to mess with me. But yeah, it's I don't know, taking a step back and looking at these monsters and it's kind of cool. It's like uh, they were just concepts in my head
Yeah,
when I created them. Marin, I don't even know if I've completely admitted this. Like I've talked about like where Marin's look
yeah,
came from, but like as far as her motives, before I wrote The Exorcist House, and I just wrote Anathema. It was my first novel. I just wanted to write about something that is evil for the sake of being evil. It's just absolute evil. It
mm,
has no motive. And I stole that notion of absolutes from Christopher Nolan when he was talking about helping write The Dark Knight. And he was talking about the role of the Joker and how they wanted to approach that because I mean, The Dark Knight has come out. Joker with Joaquin Phoenix has come out. Other people have played the character since Heath Ledger, but
mm,
I don't know if a lot of people really remember. Jack Nicholson did such a hell of a job as the Joker that people were like intimidated to step into that role. They're like, who could possibly do that
yeah,
better than Jack Nicholson, one of the greatest American actors of all time?
yeah,
And then Heath Ledger steps in and reinvents the way a super villain can be
mm,
depicted. And he is given, like, we are introduced to Heath or the Joker standing outside of the bank
yeah,
mid-robbery at the beginning of the film. He gives his own backstory a few times, three different ones. Each time he asks if you want to know how he got these scars, and he just whips up some BS story. But I think it's Alfred who explains that some men just want to watch the world burn.
yeah,
Like, and when Nolan was talking about the Joker, creating the Joker, he said he just wanted to create the embodiment of absolute chaos.
yeah,
And I said, okay, what about absolute evil?
mm,
You don't know why this woman, this person, this thing living beside you is doing what she's doing. Why would someone sneak into someone's house just to move one thing from one side of the room to the
yeah.
next? What's why? So yeah,
No,
that's my
no,
long-winded answer.
no. It's a great answer, and I think that actually some of my favorite horror books they never deal with the why, and they actually sometimes I think there's a pressure on writers to explain maybe the unexplainable and the thing that is beyond comprehension. And it's like if there's this temptation to kind of there must be some rational or logical way, and I don't mean based in the real world, but they build this whole like mechanism. And I know that's really tempting, but do you agree that sometimes just not giving the reason and that absolute is actually quite a freeing thing?
Yeah, and yes, I agree that I love when things are left, I would say 51% resolved
Yeah,
to where I can almost think I know why and what happened, but not be but still make a compelling argument for the latter.
yeah.
So yeah, with sorry, my snoring dogs over
I know
here.
it's all right. I can't hear it. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah, they didn't like me talking about them earlier.
I love
Um,
dogs snoring. I would like the microphone next to them.
I
um,
don't think like this one.
um, but yeah, no, it's an interesting thing, and you're right. Like Marin is like a really good example of that, where it's just what makes her so intimidating is the fact that you kind of know, even as you're reading it, that there, it starts off maybe with trying to have people trying to understand,
Yes.
and then you can't understand.
So that was very intentional. I wanted to, I know I always say I'm not a plotter,
Mm,
but one thing I had in my mind, everyone who is a pantser and just like writes up front, they have something that's pulling them,
yeah,
or at least I do. I'll just speak for myself.
yeah.
Um, for me, with when I was writing Marin, it was oh, shit, my train of thought just completely
It's
derailed.
fine. It's fine. And also, by the way, I can edit this and stuff, so it's not like I'm not, But yeah, no, you were saying, I mean, yeah, you'd started talking about Marin and that you'd set out deliberately to,
Yes.
yeah,
So yeah, I deliberately set out to kind of put the exposition dump up front instead of at the back end.
yeah,
Although, it is a red herring,
mm,
exposition dump. You're told a lot of things about Marin before. Well, I forget about the prologue where a figure is there, but before you actually
yeah,
get up close and personal and meet Marin, you've learned a lot about her and a lot of weird things that are happening in this neighborhood. So it's like the whole thing with what Stephen King did with 1408, where he has this, long opening describing how terrible this room is in this hotel. So by the time you get there, you
yeah,
are
yeah,
terrified and you haven't even touched the doorknob yet. So my goal with Marin was to just like completely throw people off with all this Huntington's
yeah,
disease, all this exposition stuff, and then deconstruct from there.
mm,
So, um, whenever I was in negotiation for Anathema to be made into a film, it had a real good chance of being made. And the one of the producers and I uh, had a decision. Do we go with what the studio is saying
mm,
and completely dismantle the book,
yeah,
or do we say no and literally pass on this opportunity
mm,
with no other prospects?
mm,
So they did not like the fact that Brian and Ellie Stockton were flawed characters who had a past of abuse, and
mm,
they didn't want to have protagonists like that. So we were like, well, if you, and the producer was a person in recovery as well, and that's why
mm,
they kind of gravitated towards the project.
yeah,
And we were like, well, it's kind of the whole theme of the book. You can't, like, my whole point in writing it was to show that,
yeah,
a person in recovery can deal with absolute evil and not think about using. Like, you
yeah,
can function in normal society.
mm,
So, making them not be in recovery and making them not have this rocky history kind of takes all of the tension away whenever Marin enters and starts to ratchet at this new happy home they're trying to put
mm,
together.
yeah.
So
No,
yeah, that was a hard no to say,
no, of
but
course. But it sounds like, though, I think definitely the right one. And I doubt it'll be your last opportunity anyway to make a movie out of your books, past, present, future. But I think that that's right. And I guess it's just the risk tolerance of these places. It's like, they want that happy promise at the beginning of like the love, the family who is corrupted, and it's like, that's definitely not the point of your book. And I think it would be so much richer, obviously, to just use and just draw from the source material directly. I'm sure it will come again. And it sounds like that other producer, they got it as well. So that's good. It wasn't just you kind of going on your own, like dealing with people going, you need to change it. It must have been
Yeah.
helpful to have someone.
Yeah. Well, when he told me, he was like, "I'm going to tell you what what's being offered, but I'll let you hear it first before we talk about it."
Mm.
And he told me that they didn't like the fact that the characters were in recovery. And I was like, man,
Yeah,
like I'm not one of these people who is like super protective over my books. Like,
yeah,
I do have projects in development for I don't know for what kind of release, but I do have
yeah.
film prospects, and I am 100% of the belief that the book will be the book, the movie will be the movie, or the TV show will be the TV show. However, I agree with what Paul Tremblay says. A lot more people will see the movie and associate their feelings with the movie toward your book and could potentially or probably affect whether or not they would actually read it.
Mm.
So if the movie bombed, they probably might not go out and read the book.
Yeah,
Then you have the other school of thought. Well, if the movie bombs, people will always say the book is better. And, there's the Stephen King thought that, you can go out and make a crappy movie. The book will always be the book. But
yeah.
Stephen King
That's Stephen
has
King.
a, yeah, he has a nice safety net that he doesn't
Yeah.
really have to worry about.
Yeah, totally. I mean, he did that cool thing where it was like it was only $1 for someone to,
Yeah.
yeah, which is a fantastic thing, and I think that's probably why he's the most made writer ever. But like, understandably, yeah, he's Stephen King. He can basically do whatever he wants. Like I mean, he's a legend and he deserves it. But that's a really interesting story, and I think that sounds like a tough decision, but I think you'll get what you deserve anyway. Okay, so as the saying goes, dead men tell no tales, but you live to write another day. So, what can we expect from you next, or what are you working on, or what have you just released? Because you just released a book.
Yeah. So, the I accidentally released a book in December. I'll
Yeah.
just put it that way. So I had I had three books. Two of them were written already, and one of them was just this concept, this pitch that I had. So I had these, well, technically four. So I cut back to December, and I have these four books, and I have to work with my agent to figure out what I'm going to try to sell, who am I going to sell it to. I don't want to be competing against myself with, releasing things too closely together. But I decided I had this book that I had been writing parts for Patreon. So every month, subscribers would get a new part, and each part was a minimum of 4,000 words. So I envisioned it going to maybe like 10 parts. 10 is just a nice round number, and so that'd be 10 months of content. And it ended up being about 55,000 words total once I edited. So I had that I was naturally just kind of writing all of 2025.
Mm,
So I had that, and then I made a deal with Simon Maverick Audio, a division of Simon and Schuster, to write a book just for audio called Lila in the Flesh.
mm,
So Lila in the Flesh had a January 13th release date. So it just came out earlier this month, and it's gotten I'm very happy that it's gotten mostly positive
mm,
reviews so far because it's a very different playing field than what I'm used to writing. But I had this audio deal with Lila in the Flesh, and I wanted a physical book deal as well.
mm,
Well, Athon Books, that they came and acquired the horror imprint Wicked House Publishing, and they're looking to sort of breathe new life into Wicked House and use their resources that they've established by primarily being like comic book and lit RPG games. They've built up a
yeah.
nice brand. So they came to me and they said, basically we want to print Lila in the flesh, and we want to have it come out on the same day as the audio anyway. So it was really this kind of everything came together at the last second to where we had just enough time to edit it, format it, get it printed, and it came out on all formats January 13th. So while that's happening, I'm talking with my agent about what to do with My Corpse Has a Heartbeat because it's a dark, dark comedy.
Yeah.
It's got some shocking, brutal violence, and it's got like Looney Tune cartoonish type of violence. Like I wanted each part because I was releasing it monthly. I wanted each part to feel almost like a different subgenre
Mm.
because it was serialized.
Yeah.
So it came out, and I sent it to my agent, and he said, "I love it." He was like, after the first page, you know what kind of book that you're
Yeah.
getting,
Yeah.
and you're either going to be in or you're going to be out. And I was like, I agree, it's going to be polarizing. So he said, well, I've got some places I can send it. But then in the back of my head, I was like, wait a minute. I've always had this game plan of being a hybrid author. I always want to have a new self-published title coming out
Yeah.
in between traditionally published books or with smaller publishing houses. So I just told him, I said, you know what? I think I'm just going to self-publish. My Corpse Has a Heartbeat. I've got enough people that are following me right now that,
Yeah.
this would be my third self-published title. I'm sorry. Well, Anathema was originally a different publisher and the
Yeah.
rights reverted back to me. So, fourth self-published
Yeah.
title. And I said, but I don't want it to come out like around January or even February because that's too close to Lila. So I'm thinking like maybe March. Just give a couple months and have this thing drop in March. And he was like, yeah, it sounds like a great plan. And the people at Simon Maverick were like, cool. Yeah.
Mm.
So I go on Ingram Spark, and this is getting into the weeds with
Yeah.
nerdy writer author stuff. And I upload all of my files instead of going the route I usually go, which is upload on Kindle Direct
Yeah.
Publishing first and
Yeah.
then Ingram Spark. So I did it backwards, and it automatically populated Amazon with pre-orders from Ingram.
Yeah.
So if you know anything about Ingram, that's wholesale to retailers.
Yeah.
So when you sell a book on Amazon through Ingram, this is why you don't see a lot of smaller publishing houses doing pre-orders of physical copies
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because they have to do that on release date. So
Yeah.
anyway, long story, even longer. I have I have this pre-order link up, and I'm seeing all these sales that I'm only getting like pennies on because it's coming through Ingram.
Yeah. Oh God.
I contact Amazon, I contact Ingram. I said, I need all this to be on Amazon, and I need it to be how I normally do things. And they're
Yeah.
like, well, you messed up. There's no going back.
Oh my
And then,
God.
yeah, and then finally I saw the only loophole around it was to go into KDP on Amazon and go ahead and just release the book. And
Yeah.
that would kill the pre-order link
Yeah.
through Ingram. And then it would all sync to get together.
God.
And that's what I had to do. So at the end of December, I had to just release this book, and it destroyed my plans. My plans were to
Your well
release,
laid plans.
yeah, yeah, the best laid plans. But yeah, I had this plan of releasing Lila, which is like a gothic, atmospheric castle, creepy throwback horror, and having people be like, "What the heck? What this is completely different. This is more of a slow burn than what we're used to." And then release My Corpse Has a Heartbeat two
which is
months later,
which is the opposite of slow burn by the sounds of
opposite
it.
in terms of content, tone, pacing, and really just jar readers to where they're not going to know what to expect. So that was my grand design. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, it didn't happen, but Corpse got released. It's still doing really well. It came out early enough to where it didn't affect that much of the sales with Lila in the Flesh.
Yeah,
Both are doing really well and getting good reviews. And I'm working on an anthology that has not been announced yet. And I did sign a deal to write a book with Wicked House Publishing, and Simon and Schuster will be doing the distribution with that
amazing,
one. So
amazing.
that one is called "Can You Help Me with an Exorcism?"
Yeah.
And that's what I'm currently writing. I'm about almost 10,000 words into it. I haven't Don't tell them this, but I have no idea where it's going. All I pitched was the opening scene, and I'm thrilled. Like I have that scared,
Yeah,
thrilled feeling
yeah,
of, I've got to pull this off
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
not repeat myself, not do the same stuff. But
No, it's but what a great challenge. You're gonna rise to it. I mean, and because you're so industrious as well, like I think you release a lot and it's such good quality. So I have no doubts at all, man. But that sounds great. That sounds incredibly exciting. Okay, so thank you very much for playing, Nick. I'll see you next time, but next time you won't see me coming. Uh, bye for now. Thank you so much for playing. You were so good. You were amazing.
the Coke was worth it. I appreciate it.